Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music.
What is up, you guys? I'm Sabrina, and I'm here with RB3, and we are here to talk about Bottoms, Emma Seligman's sophomore feature following Shiva Baby. And RB3, I want to hear your thoughts on this film, because I've seen it twice already. I have a lot of thoughts, so I want to kick it off with you.
Yeah, no, I've also seen it twice as well. I went to see it on National Cinema Day on Sunday at the Grove. It was so much fun. And obviously we saw it together at the premiere. It's so funny seeing it at the premiere because I knew the director Emma was like mad young, but just seeing her in person, I'm like, yo, she's literally like probably younger than me, like 25. I'm like, yo, this is like you're doing your second film. I just feel like a loser a little bit. But like after 30 seconds of feeling that way and watching the movie, I instantly fell in love with it from like the very first joke all the way to the end. As soon as I left the theater, I literally texted my girlfriend, like, yo, we're seeing this on Sunday. Like, this is the movie. Like, and yeah, even seeing it again, it was just even double the fun, even more fun, just seeing all the little details and things of that nature. It's like every single opportunity that they have for a joke, they don't miss. Like, they take every single shot that they have. And to be honest, maybe only like 90% of it lands or like 80% of it lands. There are definitely times where like some jokes just kind of like, you know, a little bit. But the fact that like even those jokes are like the most hardcore, like out there kind of comedy or humor that you could have. So it's like, I appreciate every single bit of this movie. It is my favorite comedy so far this year. And I'm looking forward to seeing it again, honestly.
No, seriously, every single time I've seen it, I'm like, I'd be down to run it back right now and just rewatch it again. And I feel like there are so many jokes. There are jokes within jokes, you know, as we're watching this, like there are PSA posters in the background that you might not catch for the first time. There's little Easter eggs of things that are going to pop up later on in the film that you might not see for the first time. I know, like, I don't have great eyesight. Sometimes I wear my glasses to the movies. Sometimes I don't. I'm very glad I did for this one because, again, I wouldn't have been able to read those PSA posters. I wouldn't have been able. We could go a little spoilery in here just because the film has now released wide. So of course, and something that got me the second time I watched it was seeing the guy in the cage in the corner of the class.
Yeah.
So there's things that it just takes a moment because you're probably like, why is that guy in a cage in this? But it's so absurdist overall that you don't question it at the same time. And also this was co-written by Rachel Sennott, who stars in the film with Ayo and was the star of Shiva Baby and the Shiva Baby short film. So everyone behind this film, so many people behind this film are very young, very green when it comes to the world of filmmaking, but they kind of show that they've already mastered it a little bit, and like it can only go up from here because I just think the themes and the ideas in this film, you know, when we're talking about queer representation in film, hardly do we get a pair of like slapstick absurdist best friends, you know, from the likes of like Superbad. That's something that was kind of just reserved for men overall for a very, very long time. And, you know, we have had films emerge, especially in the last decade, like Bottoms, that really show like, you know, even Bridesmaids is a great example of one that I kind of think like turn the tide a little bit, where it's like women can also be gross, women can also be flawed, we are absolutely not perfect. So it's just cool to see that on screen, and also to see like young lesbians in film, because a lot of the time with queer people, you know, like you don't get to experience a lot of the same things as like your straight counterparts. You might not have a relationship in high school, maybe not even college. You might not have to have the opportunity to experience like your first kiss till later on. So I know that that is something that people talk about a lot when it comes to being a little bit delayed, a little bit repressed in high school. So the repression got so bad for these two that they felt the need to start a fight club at their school because they wanted to get laid. It was purely for their own selfish intentions, that's hilarious. But at the same time, it actually does have such a positive impact in their school and with the women around them, you know, because there's like a very real threat of this rival high school, you know, causing some violence, or just the very real world threats that women face all the time. You know, it's kind of funny to see like men squirming when there's some like very gray area jokes literally in the film.
Mhm.
And it's kind of cathartic, I feel like, as a woman, to be able to like laugh at your own real world pain. And it's never like mean spirited or anything. It's very authentic. Like, I've had conversations with my friends that are very similar to what I've seen on the screen. And I think having this young filmmaker and two young writers really amplifies that and kind of speaks to the time that we're in right now.
Yeah, no, I definitely think this is a real fun contemporary type of film, type of movie, especially like you're right, getting into that raunchy humor. I definitely know, you know, Booksmart was another one that was like a female driven movie that was inspired by Superbad. To me personally, I like Booksmart a lot. That one felt like a little too close to Superbad in terms of like almost like plot wise, it almost play out the exact same. But with this movie, it showed up. It like when it went into the Fight Club aspect of it. I went into this movie not seeing any trailers, any like promo or anything. So like when they started like beating the crap out of each other like that, like I'm not gonna lie, like I'm not a supporter of, you know, violence against women or anything like that. I definitely don't like seeing that, especially, you know, like QT, you know, be going too hard on punching chicks in some of his movies. But like when this one, like when they started like punching and squaring each other off or just like pushing each other, I literally could not stop laughing. Like it was just handled in such a funny approach, like just the gradual escalation of violence, especially like during that intro montage when they're going through it. And then also too meeting Marshawn Lynch playing the teacher in the supporting role. When he first reacts like, whoa, hold up, we gotta stop this right now. And then like eventually just like slowly ends up becoming okay with it. I thought it was just hysterical. Like I thought it was just super, super funny. Like this was like such a perfect piece of satire in the fact of like the world was very real and the themes and everything that they were approaching were very real and very pointed towards reality, but just taken and exaggerated to the most extreme extents. Like every character, like the fact that the high school's like slogan is like get horny, like, and their mascot is just dude with a giant like penis like flopping around, and all the football characters, Jeff, the light-skinned dude, all of them are just like the most like over the top man baby, you know, Chaz, Kens, whatever you want to call them, like just like goofballs. And again, like, you know, that's satire, but it's also not that far from reality, like you mentioned, Sabrina. So it's like they just find they find really funny ways to heighten the comedy while also getting sincere with the themes and everything that they're trying to tell. And while also, yeah, just being brilliantly directed. I mean, you know, we talked about Shiva Baby before. That was actually the first movie I saw coming out of the pandemic. The first movie I saw coming out of the pandemic. And I thought it was just a brilliant display of like the creativity you could show with editing, sound mixing, just in all inside of this like one house and still keeping it mainly entertaining. This one was much bigger budget, even though it's only $11 million. It's not like a big budget, but it felt like more than that. It felt like it was like an epic, grand high school story, even better than like Easy A or like, you know, just something classic. It worked on a lot of levels while also being fun. Also the music. Charlie XCX co-did the soundtrack with Leo Rinsberg, if I'm not mistaken, or Reinsberg. Super, super great music. Like you could listen to this music like on the loop on its own and it just like works. So I thought it was really, really fun. Really well done overall.
Yeah, Charlie XCX is having her moment because I know she was featured in like Bottoms as well. You know, Barbie. I think her like pop sensibilities, I think play up a film like this really well and like elevate those moments, especially just considering how ridiculous this was. Like, I know we just keep saying this, but it is so ridiculous and realistic at the same time. Like you mentioned, we have like our himbo character. We have this like community that is like so celebratory of like the football players. And another little detail I love about this film is that right at the beginning, they're like, oh yeah, like nobody hates us because we're gay. Like they hate us because we're like gay, untalented, and ugly. And just it's so funny that like they're unapologetic with their queerness, but it's the other things, their untalentedness or their ugliness or whatever, that they have to try to overcome, not their gayness. That's totally fine. And it's just super hilarious. And I think the costume design too with this film is really great. I think for anybody who knows, you know, in queer circles, there's a lot of different like aesthetics that we see, cottage core, different stuff like that. And this one nailed the like Adam Sandler core. Like they dress pretty like frumpy, and they, you know, they talk about like the overalls, her looking like a little Dutch boy or something like that. I absolutely love those details about the film. And I think Rachel Sennott and like Ayo Edebiri like are so good, but I think Ayo was definitely the standout of the entire film. I think she's had an incredible year, first of all, with things like, of course, The Bear, TMNT, very diverse roles, and she showed that she can nail them all. So the fact that she has like 3 movies in theaters all at the same time with Bottoms, TMNT, and Theater Camp, I think is just crazy. I think we're going to see so much more of her. But her character is kind of the one, of course, that like, if we're talking about Superbad, and again, I don't want to compare it to Superbad. It's so different. And so not to compare it at all, but she's like the Michael Cera, whereas Rachel Sennett's like the Jonah Hill, the one that keeps making mistakes, keeps pushing them further and further down the line of like when their lie is ultimately revealed. It makes both of them look bad. And that was pushed by Rachel Sennett's character, which again, I love to see like a very difficult, ridiculous, bitchy, for lack of a better word, woman. It's just funny to see your own flaws kind of blown up on the screen. And again, exaggerated, like you mentioned, all of this is super exaggerated. We have Kaia Gerber, Cindy Crawford's daughter, playing Brittany, the like model, basically. And her character literally mentions at one point, she's just like, yeah, like, you know, I have no personality. She just follows Isabel, played by Havana Rose Liu's character. So good. And I think them even showcasing like bisexuality and experimenting with all of this, I think makes this film kind of timeless. It's like it is capturing this time with like Gen Z and the specific humor, but I think it will also continue to be a cult classic in the same way something like Jawbreaker, Heathers, Drop Dead Gorgeous, those films have really stood the test of time. I think this one's going to do the same thing.
Yeah, no, I definitely think so too. I mean, and speaking on, you know, like you said, the normalization of the queer identities, I think like it doesn't, it's never like an explicit problem. It's more of in fact, it's honestly more of I feel like more than, I feel like the majority of the characters in this movie are like either queer or queer leaning or like experimenting. So it's like that's never really like the whole obstacle. I feel like that's just as normalized as like heterosexuality in this world. I think that's also a powerful commentary in and of itself, but also the fact of, you know, there's some characters who are literally, I mean, there's the one line that like absolutely killed my girlfriend was like, oh, I'm not gay, I just like gay porn. Like it's just like they get onto how many different levels of like where people could feel on the spectrum, because it is a spectrum. Sexuality is a spectrum, and it goes in that. But also, you know, I don't want to compare it too much to Superbad either, because, you know, very different movies. But I'm saying, I had just watched Superbad recently with my girlfriend too, like a couple weeks before Bottoms. And what stood out to me, she had watched it for the first time. I watched it like 100 times since like 7th grade or whatever. And if you go back and watch Superbad, like, yo, them dudes are low key like Seth and Evan, they low-key are in love with each other. Like the subtext of the movie is homoeroticism. And I just feel like if they would have made that movie in this era, it would have just been a straight gay comedy. Like it just would have. So I'm glad that like now like we are in an age where it doesn't have to be some sort of hidden thing, or it doesn't have to be some like innuendo that you catch like looking real close. It's right there on the surface for people to consume. And if they like it, they like it. And if they don't, they could just end up like that old cranky dude, like, yo, I don't want to see any more of this gay shit. Like, I just want to see some men playing football. Like, it just does it. So
men getting down and dirty playing football. It's like, I don't know, that's really gay of you.
yeah, exactly. So I was like, yo, they go all in, and especially and the commentary on the football culture, while also having Marshawn Lynch as like one of the supporting characters. It's just an extra layer of like comedy and commentary that's on top of it. He has some of the best jokes, I think, as well. Like, there's times when he's like Amelia Earhart.
Is this about the time I said Amelia Earhart was a fake hero? Because it's true. Many a guys fly planes without crashing, but you never hear about them.
Killed me. The stuff he was writing on the chalkboard, absolutely hilarious.
When he crossed off feminism and he turns around with like a mean ass look on his face, like he's mad. They did him dirty. He can't trust a woman again for a hot minute.
Right.
Yeah, he is so good. I think this performance definitely goes down in terms of like, sports legends making that crossover into film. I think still my top two now would be him and LeBron James in Trainwreck. This is tied. Like, they're both so good, elevate the film, deliver those lines perfectly. I didn't even realize for the longest time that it was him, just because I was like, oh, this is just like a really great actor. So yeah, like I can't wait to see whatever the hell else he does. I'd love that this film kind of ended in a little bit of like a blooper reel, but also like outtakes that didn't quite make it into the film. So, when they're running some of these jokes, they have like Kaia Gerber or Marshawn Lynch saying a few different iterations of it. And it's just absolutely hilarious. The needle drop too, the Avril Lavigne needle drop for Complicated. So good. The second that hit, that first strum, that first note, I was all in. This is so self-aware, and I think all the little details that are scattered throughout this film just really show what a powerful filmmaker Emma Seligman is and will continue to become. Like the fact that Shiva Baby is like the scariest non-horror movie I've ever seen, and then now she goes from like Safdie brother level of anxiety over now to this like fully absurdist satire, buddy comedy, high school coming of age, ridiculous film. And she was able to nail this super different film on her second try. I think is just incredible.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it was a remarkable second sophomore movie. There was even times where it started to lean into that Shiva Baby isms, like one scene in like the classroom where Ayo is like kind of thinking about something. I was like, oh, is this gonna get like kind of weird and goofy? But it gets weird in other ways and surreal in other ways. Like, how many people died in this movie? Like, there's so many mad, like a body count in a high school comedy is like insane on another level. So yeah, they did it really well. If I had one tiny critique about the film, it would just be the Hazel character. I felt like she had a good story arc for the most part, but I felt like there's a moment in the movie where she gets justifiably upset at Rachel's character and for disrespecting her in front of the whole group. And then almost in the pretty much almost the next scene, they kind of get over it. And which not get over it, but they resolve it pretty relatively quickly. That's the one part of it to me that I was like, I wish they would have like given that just a tiny bit extra juice, like maybe one more scene of apologizing or something like that. I know it's the film. The film is rapid fire quick and so fast that they don't really want to waste any time. And I appreciate that. Like I appreciate a good hour and a half comedy movie. But yeah, that's the one tiny part is like her character did feel like a tiny bit shafted, almost to the point. And it's not that she forgave her right off the bat. It was like one scene they were mad, next scene she's forgiven, next scene they're like kissing and they're like kind of implying that they're trying to get together. I'm like, okay, that was a lot of character arc that happened in like 15 minutes. But that's my only tiny critique.
Yeah, I can see that. I think the moment, of course, at like the little assembly, I think kind of like bridged that gap already just because Hazel was going through it so badly. She was literally beaten down. And she still has the support of the rest of the group. Like as we saw before the game, like they were all got together and they were sitting down in front of the TV and like chilling and watching
the David Fincher Club. They're watching David Fincher movies, I think.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. The details in this one are so good. But yeah, they have that with each other. And I think there's a lot of like implied history because they're mean to Hazel pretty much almost the whole movie. And I think maybe there was just a shift she was able to see in PJ's character, played by Rachel Sennott, and see like, hey, maybe she's changing for the better. And she actually, for the first time ever, like understands where she went wrong. Even her saying like, you know, sometimes I could be a bitch. And then she's like, actually, okay, fine, like all the time. Yeah. So, but I see that. To me, honestly, this film is almost perfect. I can't imagine it being any better for me. But of course, like if you are not on board with it right off the bat, like you're not going to vibe with it. And this is not for everybody. And I think that's its strength. I think once it reaches its target audience, maybe, you know, a lot of Gen Z film fans, a lot of film fans in general, I feel like everybody could find a little bit of something to love, but because the absurdism is so, I mean, it's unwavering. I think like with this film, that's definitely something that's a strength as well, is that it never pulls back any punches. Haha. It really just sticks to the tone and sticks with it throughout. It does not like soften itself at any point. Like those edges are there throughout the whole film. So yeah, I think a lot of people find a little bit to love about this film, if not absolutely love it. I don't think it can get any more perfect.
Yeah, no, definitely well said. Yeah, I totally agree. Let us know in the comments down. Or do you have any other final thoughts on Bottoms, or was that?
Yeah, I mean, again, with this film, we have a queer young female filmmaker. I think that is definitely something to celebrate. I think a lot of people behind the scenes are women, are young women at that. And I think this definitely helps to put different types of stories on the screen. Like I said, not too many times where we get like a queer buddy high school comedy, definitely not like an absurdist satire as well. So I think this one is a really special moment. And I know it released in 10 theaters initially, and now it's released wide, and that per theater average was super high. So it shows like we want to see interesting stories on the screen. I think young people are honestly clamoring for it. I think the days of the huge franchise spectacle movies, they will have their moments still, they'll be there. But I think, you know, when we see the box office for this previous summer with things like Mission Impossible, The Flash, amongst many other films that didn't do as well as anticipated, I think it just goes to show like we want something fresh. And Emma Seligman was able to deliver that with Bottoms. I think the themes of the film, Josie and PJ using women's pain that is like built in, stuff that we experience all throughout our lives, using it for their gain is something to gawk at, but also you want to see them win because you just want to win for them. So I think the emotional roller coaster, how funny it is, this incredible ensemble, just makes me want to watch it in theaters again and again.
I think people will see that this stands out above the crowd. I think when I did see it on Sunday, it was a packed out theater, like full, and they were clapping like it was a franchise movie, it was a Marvel movie. Yeah. And I think a lot of people also say studio comedies are dead. I don't think they're dead at all. I mean, I feel like some recent comedies have proven that they're not dead remotely. Like, I think comedy is just not in the same frat boy era of like The Hangover and Superbad and like all these like early 2000s things. You have to switch, you have to adjust, you have to go with the times. And the times are now, you know, women comedy are at the forefront. So yeah, when people like Adam Devine are like Netflix and Marvel are killing comedy, like, no, I don't think that's true. I think you just have to find good voices who can tell those stories, and I feel like this was the best example of it. And yeah, so I really love this movie. I hope everybody watching this review love the movie too. I hope you didn't watch this movie. I watched this review without watching the film because we did get into spoilers. But if I'm assuming you've seen it. If you haven't, if you are going to see it again, let us know in the comments down below. If you're looking forward to see the next thing that Emma Seligman. Oh my gosh. Okay. If you're looking forward to the next project that Emma Seligman does next, please comment down below and let us know. And if you've seen Shiva Baby, if you're fans of that, Sabrina, where can people, follow you?
Follow me on Twitter and TikTok at Sabrina on Film, and then Threads and Instagram at Sabrina X Monica.
And you follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Director RB3, and follow us on here for First Cut. Follow us here on First Cut at First Cut TMO. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please give us a subscribe. It really helps us out a lot. So yeah, for the Bottoms review, I'm RB3.
I'm Sabrina.
And we're peacing out. Peace out, y'all.